Treacherous travel, power problems, bitter cold. The latest winter storm continues to grip the Carolinas.
Coming up on First News at 5, we'll see how hard-hit Polk County is digging out from under thousands of downed trees. Plus, we'll hit the highways to check out the latest on road conditions.
And a bizarre bank robbery ends up in the hallway of an Asheville hotel.
This is News 13, First News at 5.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mark Pompilio.
And I'm Tammy Watford. Thanks for joining us for First News at 5. Thousands of Carolina families remain in the cold and dark at this hour, including nearly two-thirds of the town of Saluda. The snow and ice storm that hit the mountain town Friday night tore power lines into pieces and left thousands of trees blocking the roads. News 13's Deborah Potter tells us Saluda residents got some much-needed help today from the state of North Carolina.
Ah, the sound of chainsaws. These workers from the North Carolina Forest Service rolled into Saluda amid cheers this morning. They spent the day clearing roads blocked by trees.
Yeah, this little kid's here to be my lifesaver.
Residents like Danny O'Shields hope these workers are the light at the end of a long, cold tunnel. O'Shields has been using a fireplace to cook and heat his home. Now that workers have cleared his road, he hopes to get the power back on.
I feel blessed. It fell around us, but I really feel blessed.
Yeah. Got a little bit of damage, it looks like.
I think I got some roof damage and a little bit of car damage, a whole lot of tree damage.
But one of the most amazing things here are the pine trees. There's so much ice on them and they're frozen so solid that even these huge trees won't sway in the wind. Down here on the ground where these branches are broken, they're so brittle, they just disintegrate when you touch them.
It's hard to believe looking at all this ice.
Workers here could use a break. They've been going almost non-stop since the storm hit.
The fire department's put in a tremendous effort. Those guys are worn out. My street department guys are wore out. The police department's wore out. They've been pulling double duty. So, you know, everybody's tired, but we're catching up now.
Thank you, honey.
But residents here are pulling together to weather the storm. Charles Ward has kept his main street store open for supplies in spite of losing power for more than 24 hours.
We had 2 lamps and some flashlights, and that's how we operated, but we did all right.
Saluda officials say the damage to power lines here is so severe it could be Friday or Saturday before everyone has service restored. And then residents here will start cleaning up from what many say is the worst storm they can ever remember. In Saluda, I'm Deborah Potter, News 13 WLOS.
Saluda officials say they've also asked the state to send inmate laborers to town to start cleaning up debris from the storm.
Take any kind of help you can get.
Yeah, it's been nasty out there, but like you said, it sure is pretty.
Oh, yeah, it is kind of pretty out there.
Yeah.
Many secondary roads and interstates remain slick and icy in western North Carolina despite that beauty.
That's right. News 13's Tanti Blewett joins us from the I-240 and I-40 interchange at the River Ridge exit. And Tanti, what's the latest on the road conditions out there?
Well, Mark and Tammy, there's a good example behind me here. We're on the on-ramp to Interstate 40 East, and you can see that one lane is pretty clear, but the other is still covered with a little bit of ice and snow. The Highway Patrol says many of the interstates are looking like that right now, but that's not bothering the traffic too much. It's been pretty busy since we've been out here. The North Carolina Highway Patrol says on sections of 40, there's still one lane clear, meaning there's not any snow in that lane. But be careful, even though you can see the asphalt, there's still a lot of ice there. And the Highway Patrol says I-40 is worse in Buncombe County. They say I-26 is a little bit better than 40, but in some parts, there's only one lane clear all the way to Columbus, North Carolina. The Highway Patrol says Interstate 240 is still dealing with patches of ice, although much of it is gone due to the increase in traffic. And Mark and Tammy, I don't have to tell you how bad the secondary roads are. All you have to do is look outside your window or step outside, and you can see that many of them are still covered with ice and snow and very slippery. So the Highway Patrol says if you do plan to get out, make sure you drive very slowly and make sure that you have a full tank of gas just in case you do get stranded. You want to make sure you're able to keep your car on and keep the heat on so you can stay warm until someone can come and rescue you. Back to you.
Good advice, Tanti. Tanti, what about tonight? Do you anticipate some bad travel conditions when it gets dark?
The Highway Patrol says yes, a little bit of ice that melted out here will of course freeze again as the temperatures go down, and yes, they're expecting more ice and more treacherous driving conditions, so be careful.
Yeah.
Thanks. Same old song, you know.
Never-ending story. Thanks, Tanty.
Let's check with Ken Bostic for an update on what's ahead.
Ken, how cold is it?
Well, folks, it's not going to get as comfortable as we saw this time last night. Now, northern mountains will probably be between 0 and 5. Asheville, Hendersonville area probably between 5 and 10. Teens for the upstate, foothills, and northeast Georgia. And there's good news ahead because tomorrow we're going to start warming. We'll be in the 30s across western North Carolina. The 40s return to the upstate. By Wednesday, most of us will be back in the 40s. Now, tomorrow night, we won't even be as cold. We'll be in the teens in the mountains, 20s for the upstate. Wednesday really looks nice, 40s and 50s. So it's about over, and when it gets over, we're going to see a really nice warm-up as we get closer to the weekend.
Thanks, Ken. The cold weather is blamed for one death in the upstate and is suspected in another death. The Anderson County coroner says that 48-year-old Naomi Willifred died of hypothermia. Willifred's body was found in her Anderson home Sunday afternoon. Her kerosene heater was out of fuel. This morning in Greenville, neighbors discovered the body of 75-year-old Rita Hewlett. Investigators say her home on K Drive was very cold. Several kerosene heaters in the home were not working. One of the hardest hit counties in western North Carolina has been Henderson County. Power outages and fallen trees have kept hundreds of people out of their homes. News 13's Kimberly Johnson joins us now from one of the 2 shelters still set up in Hendersonville. And Kimberly, are people getting ready to go home yet?
Tammy, they certainly are, especially the ones who have been here for quite a while, for a couple of days. The National Guard and other rescue squads have helped to take at least 30 people home today alone, people who have gotten their heat back on. But at the same time, other people have checked into this shelter, people who just couldn't stand it at their home anymore without power and without heat. And here's why. Fallen trees and snapped power lines, also they snapped power line poles in 2. It's taken practically an army of contractors to tear down the old poles and put up new ones. Today's cold temperatures didn't help them at all, but it did help to bring more people to check into the area shelters.
The shelter population is still basically the same. We've been hovering around the 200 mark pretty much since Friday.
And it could be at least a week before they get the power poles fixed for some of the people. The people who checked in today hope that they certainly don't have to stay there quite that long. They're being optimistic and hoping that their power will come back on soon. Tammy?
Kimberly, what about those lucky people who do get to go home to the power? What about the road conditions? Are they going to be, is it going to be treacherous out there tonight?
Basically, it's just the secondary roads. The primary roads that we traveled on today, the interstate was looking good, and the main roads throughout Henderson County were okay. They've cleared almost all of the trees from the roads, so those are passable. Still a lot of cleaning up to do on some of the other roads, though, Tammy.
Okay, Kimberly, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, if you need a place to take refuge from the cold, or if you know someone who does, here's a list of shelters that are open tonight. In Henderson County, a shelter is open at East Henderson High School, which is off of Upward Road. In Transylvania County, there's a shelter at Anchor Baptist Church, which is on Highway 64 near Henderson County. In McDowell County, there's one at the First Baptist Church on Main Street in Marion, and at the Wesleyan Church on Catawba Avenue in Old Fort, and the First Baptist Church in Glenwood on Old Highway 221 South. Then in Polk County, you can take shelter at the Saluda Fire Department on Greenville Street, and in the upstate in Greenville County at the Chestnut Hill Hospital in Travelers Rest. Now, power companies are still working to restore electricity to Carolina residents. Duke Power Company reports 175,000 customers out, but that's down from 250,000 this weekend. Henderson and McDowell counties are the hardest hit in our area. There are 9,000 homes without power in Henderson County, 8,000 homes without power in McDowell County. And there are nearly 7,500 homes in the dark in Greenville and Spartanburg counties. Carolina Power and Light reports 465 homes without power in Buncombe County at this hour, and both Nantahala Power and Light and French Broad Electric have power restored to all residents.
Most mail deliveries remain on schedule, but postal officials say it's tough to get to some mailboxes because of downed trees, power lines, and ice-covered roads. When the paths to the mailbox is blocked or are dangerous, letter carriers will try to deliver mail the following day. Letter carriers say they must decide whether to risk injury or steep slopes or icy steps. They say there's an easy way to help out.
We know that you can't get out there and take a shovel and scrape this ice off. It's almost impossible. But if they would just take some table salt and just sprinkle it, just like birdseed, and that will begin to melt it in the morning, and that salt will penetrate in, and it gives you more grip.
Postal Service officials say people with roadside mailboxes should also try to keep a path clear to the box. That cuts down on delays if they don't have to struggle to reach the mailbox.
Boy, it just makes hard work for everybody, you know?
Oh, yeah, mail carrier and power company people. Ooh,
Paper boy.
Yeah, exactly. You name it.
Yeah. Coming up on First News at 5, we'll have the latest school closing information. Plus, we're not the only ones hit hard by wintry weather. We'll take a trip across the nation to check out some of the worst spots. Plus, area cops capture alleged criminals outside an area hotel room.
And the good news is the polar jet's going to move back to the north. By the end of the week, we're going to be back to normal here in the southeast with temperatures in the 50s.
This is News 13, First News at 5, with Mark Pompilio, Tammy Watford, and Ken Bostic weather.
Why do people say Arby's new bacon melt combo is so great? Is it Arby's famous slow roasted beef, or is it the $2.79? Could it be the taste of our thick-cut peppered bacon, or is it the $2.79? Maybe it's Arby's new home-style fries. Tastes so good they even beat the best-selling fries in the business. Maybe it's the $2.79. Probably it's all the above. Taste why it's better out here. Arby's Bacon Melt Combo with new home-style fries. You know what it costs.
So, the candidates are back. Here we go again.
Oh, Dad, such a cynic. It's a good way to find out what they're all about.
What you need to find out is how they're going to help you save for your retirement.
I'm trying, Dad. I know Social Security won't be enough.
That's why tax incentives for 401ks, IRAs, annuities, even life insurance are, well, so important.
And always will be, right?
That's what we need to tell the candidates. Tell the candidates retirement savings incentives are just as important as Social Security.
I got a passion and it's burning hot.
Protege. Best basic warranty in its class.
Passion.
Sports sedan poise and composure. Road and track. Well equipped. Priced like a base Corolla. Lease a Protege from $159. $999 down.
Oh my God.
Protege.
Passion for the road.
It's your haven, your sanctuary. It's your home, and you'll spend more than half your life there. Shouldn't it be right? Your #1 source of pride, comfort, and confidence? That's been Stanley Steamer's belief for over 48 years. From carpet to upholstery, we'll get it clean and we'll do it right. After all, we're not talking about just anywhere. We're talking about where you live.
Stanley Steamer makes you feel right at home.
Well, next 24 hours is good news because we'll see temperatures finally by this time tomorrow make it to 34. We should be about 12 at midnight tonight and about 10 tomorrow morning around 6, but then we will gradually warm up, and during the afternoon we're going to get past that freezing mark for the first time since Friday afternoon. We'll be cloudy tonight. We'll start clearing in the morning, and it looks like a nice sunny day for our day on Tuesday. Currently right now, 27 in Asheville. Greenville-Spartanburg is 29. Anderson checks in at 28. This morning we had 1 below 0 in Asheville, 8 for the Greenville-Spartanburg area, 9 for Anderson. These were all brand new records. Coldest we found this morning, Mount Mitchell, 14 below 0. Well, the good news is the Arctic air, which is still entrenched right here in the southeast, is slowly beginning to push off to the north, and that's great news. We don't see that big pool of cold air up in the northwest that was there last week. So this will slowly move off to the northeast over the next couple of days. This is the big Arctic high that's over the top of us right now, which is why the winds have died down. As the high shifts eastward tomorrow, we'll begin to get the backside flow around that. That will start our warm-up. The next couple of weather systems in the nation's midsections really will not have a lot of energy with them, so we're not looking at any really bad weather. There is some light snow this afternoon around the Great Lakes, a lot of rain and snow out in the west. Tomorrow's map shows the next system in the nation's midsection, but it's very weak. Won't have much to do with our weather. This big area of high pressure will give us another good day tomorrow with sunshine. And the good news, the polar jet pushes off to the north for this entire week, so we're going to get back to normal. Big warm-up starts right here tomorrow out in the southwest, and will gradually work its way into our part of the country. So our forecast looks like this. For tonight, another cold night, around 10 in the Asheville area with cloudy to partly cloudy skies. Upstate and foothills about 15 overnight. Then tomorrow we're going to see sunshine, 35 the high in the mountains, 40 for the foothills in the upstate. After that, A few clouds with a chance of a shower on Thursday, but it's going to just continue to warm up each day. We may see 60 by Saturday.
Warm sounds good right now.
Back to the golf course.
Right now, the greens would be a little hard.
Oh, yeah, they'd
so.
be frozen solid.
Yeah, thanks,
Ball would
Kim.
bounce pretty far.
Yeah. Coming up on First News at 5, we'll have the latest school closing information.
I know that, Joe. And we'll check stories from around the nation. For example, the man accused of killing Polly Kloss goes on trial.
And new at 5:30, is your garage door an open invitation for would-be criminals? Find out what every homeowner should know.
Want better carpet but think you can't afford it? Bag a yellow tag. Need a lot of carpet? Got a small budget? Bag a yellow tag. This time of year, GCO carpet outlets need to reduce inventory. So we've yellow tagged over 100 rolls and remnants. We've got to move out now. Bag a yellow tag. Every yellow tag means huge savings for you. It only happens once a year. So come in now and bag a yellow tag. Only at GCO, your Georgia carpet outlet.
It's an automobile that has become part of the American landscape. A car that for over 2 million people has become an indispensable part of their lives. Automobile Magazine called it the best car built in America. We call it the 1996 Camry, the gold standard from Toyota.
Well, I was a lady of 69 years old, the first mammogram that I had ever had, and it did show up cancer cells. By getting the early mammograms and getting it taken care of in time was the most important thing. And the only thing that I would say to the women that are afraid, they're taking a chance on their lives.
Race fans, get ready. There's a showdown coming. Kids Country presents the AMA Supercross Showdown. Friday and Saturday, February 9th and 10th at the Western North Carolina Ag Center. It's going to be motocross racing at its finest. You'll see the ATV, amateur, and the Top Gun pros coming together for one final battle for the championships of the Interstate Cycle-sponsored Indoor Winter Series. The AMA Supercross Showdown. Friday and Saturday, February 9th and 10th at the Western North Carolina Ag Center. Located at Exit 9 off I-26 at the airport.
A note here, as we continue our newscast, we'll put the latest school closing list along the bottom of your screen. Now, 3 bank robbery suspects were caught today after trying to hide out in a Buncombe County hotel. Armed robbers stole cash from the Centura Bank in Enka-Candler. They ran off, but they didn't run far.
Did get vehicle description, suspect vehicle description, and suspect description. Approximately 20 minutes later, the vehicle was located from Ramada Inn West on Smoky Park Highway.
Officers did their best to avoid a standoff. After locating the suspect's room and evacuating the hallway, they waited and grabbed one of the suspects when he came out to get ice. The second suspect was caught when he came out to look for his friend. Officers then called the last suspect on the telephone and convinced him to give himself up. The case has now been turned over to the FBI. Some guests said they didn't even know the manhunt was going on.
The Polly Klaas murder trial got underway in San Jose, California today. Police say Richard Allen Davis kidnapped the 12-year-old from her home in October of 1993 and murdered her. Public outrage forced the judge to move the trial from Sonoma County, where she was killed, to San Jose. Attorneys are expected to hear motions today to get cameras inside the courtroom. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty. O.J. Simpson says he has no doubt that the murder of his ex-wife is linked to drugs and her friend Faye Resnick. Today, Simpson gave his most detailed public defense yet in an interview on the CNN program Burden of Proof. Resnick had stayed at Nicole's house briefly before she was killed and before Resnick went to a drug rehab center. Simpson also said that he has used up his life savings to fight the charges, and he said someone tampered with blood evidence in the L.A. police lab.
In Oregon, freezing rain caused a mishap at Portland International Airport. A Delta Airlines jet slid off a taxiway early today. None of the 96 people on board the plane were hurt. The accident did force the airport to close the runway and caused a number of flight delays and cancellations.
Oh, but that's kind of scary.
Ooh, yeah.
Coming up on First News at 5, we'll look at the huge problems this winter storm is causing across the Carolinas.
When the king of stock car racing gets a thirst for speed, he straps himself to a high-tech racing machine. But when his thirst runs to something cool and refreshing, he runs to KFC for this, the 32-ounce Richard Petty Cruiser Cup.
Hey, mister, are you done racing yet?
It's all yours, kid. I'm retired. Again.
Get your Cruiser Cup free with the purchase of a $3.99 meal combo. Choose 2 pieces of fried chicken or 3 Colonel's crispy strips, plus individual mashed potatoes with gravy, coleslaw, and a biscuit.
It is where the lofty atmosphere of most luxury cars is left behind. It is the American-built flagship of Toyota, Avalon. Combining refined performance, comfort, and Toyota's unparalleled reputation for quality, Avalon delivers the greatest luxury of all, peace of mind. Avalon, experience the tranquility.
You know, folks, the other day, Judy and I were having a discussion about what it takes to make a house a home. And I said, that's easy, Dumplings. Badcock Home Furnishings. That's all you need to know. Badcock has a great selection of furnishings and accessories to give your home its own personality. I mean, like this here family room. It's me. And Judy has all the other rooms, you know. The older I get, the smarter I get.